Shane Gisbergen has completed his second points-paying trip as a full-time Cup Series driver at Daytona International Speedway and scores a top 20 finish in 16th place. What's going on, guys? It's Daniel, and welcome back to our video. As I just said a second ago, Shane Gisbergen has completed his second trip to Daytona as a full-time NASCAR Cup Series driver and as a rookie, and scores a top 20 finish in 16th place. This is now back-to-back top 20 finishes for Shane Gisbergen, not just on any type of track, but on ovals as well. So at the start of the race, Shane Gisbergen would roll off in 17th position. The reason he rolled off in 17th and not farther back at the field is because usually Trackhouse doesn't qualify well on these, but because of the fact there was lightning issues throughout the day on Friday, they did not have practice and qualifying in any way, shape, or form, so he'd be starting in 17th position. Now, early in the race, Shane Gisbergen moved up a couple of positions, but early in the race, he would hang back throughout the field, trying to avoid potential big wrecks and cars that would happen throughout the night. Would fall back to near the middle of the back of the pack. He was kind of running around that 25th to 30th range throughout the early portion of the night. But then he started getting through a lot of the incidents. You had the Casey Mears crash that took place, I believe, right behind him, where Mears unfortunately ended up spinning out because he had a flat tire, and he spun into the outside wall, got a ton of damage on the car. He would start moving his way back up to the front. Then we had another incident. You had Todd Gillen and Tyler Reddick end up spinning out. Tyler Reddick, who got tied off the corner, got into Todd Gillen. They both ended up spinning out. Shane was pretty far back behind those guys. That'd be two more positions for Shane. Reddick would have a ton of damage, and Todd Gillen didn't really get any damage at all from the incident. Then we got back going once again with Shane Gisbergen being up front, at least near the middle to back of the pack. He would hang back there, and he would survive through the big incident that took place. You had the big crash between Bubba Wallace, Kyle Busch, Joey Logano, Austin Cindric, Alex Bowman got collected, Riley Herbst got collected. I think other drivers in the back like Austin Hill got collected, Denny Hamlin got collected, but Shane Gisbergen just held back and would gain a ton of ground and ton of track position and move kind of around that top 20 area. By the end of stage number 1, Shane would kind of be around 20th and 25th, actually being almost inside the top 10 at that point, but coming off the corner, Kyle Larson was able to come off there and win stage number 1. At the start of stage number 2, Shane Gisbergen, I believe, actually would stay out initially to be up front. Then he came down pit road. But eventually, he and Ross Chastain started making their way to the front, and they started gaining a ton of ground on the leaders. And Ross and Shane moved up to the front of the pack around lap 62 or 63 of the race. And Ross got the lead for a little bit, but eventually Shane Gisbergen got a really good run to the inside of Ross Chastain and took the race lead and would lead for the first time at Daytona so far in 2025. He would not only lead one lap, but I think he led around 5 or 6 laps in tonight's race. That's another race where that 88 car has shown some decent speed and would be up front for a little bit. But near the end of stage number 2, Shane Gisbergen would unfortunately make a little bit of a mistake as he was up front. He was trying to hold off a hard-charging Michael McDowell and his teammate Ross Chastain to be up front. He kind of got put in the sucker hole, unfortunately. A lot of younger drivers and drivers who are rookies kind of have to learn that lesson. He got put in the sucker hole and would drop back quite a bit and never would be a really big factor throughout the rest of the night and would drop back quite a bit to that 15th to 20th range, but started moving up to the field a little bit once again, but he started hanging back. Coming off the corner, stage number 2 had some really solid and some really exciting and great racing there, with Ross Chastain, the teammate, coming off the corner and winning stage number 2 after getting by Chris Bell and Joey Logano to get it done. At the start of stage number 3, I believe once again Shane Gisbergen would stay out a little bit, but then he came back down pit road and would start back a little bit farther. Then he had a caution for Denny, a couple cautions that took place. Denny Hamlin being the main one. Denny Hamlin had a flat tire with around 50 laps to go in the race. Denny Hamlin got into the outside wall, unfortunately with a flat tire. During this yellow, Shane Gisbergen would stay out, but then he came down pit road to top off, and then he restarted and lose a little bit of ground on the restart. But then he got caught up back up a little bit when he and Johnny Nemechek kind of teamed up along with Kyle Busch as well, who was many laps down in this point of the race. They would team up once again, and he would start charging his way back up toward the front of the field. And then he would start gaining a little bit of ground until he wasn't near the end. He had a lot of gridlock happening, a lot of guys trying to make moves to get up there. But all of a sudden, with around 25 laps to go in the race, we all thought SVG's chances for a top 20 finish would be over, as BJ McLeod would have a flat tire run in front of Shane Gisbergen. He was right behind us, and unfortunately, because of that, Shane Gisbergen would end up losing the draft behind BJ McLeod and lost a ton of ground and lost all the track position and would fall out of the draft. Luckily, though, with around 11 or 12 laps to go, the leader of the race, Joey Logano, got loose on the outside of Eric Jones. He got a little loose and came down into Chris Buescher and spun out across the track. This would bring out the caution with around 10 or 11 laps to go in the race. He would actually come down pit road to top off to get fuel and also have fresh tires, and would restart with around 8 or 9 laps to go in the event and would have the race lead. At the race lead, but he'd be back in the middle to back of the pack. And he started moving his way up to the front. As we continued moving through, he moved inside the top 20. Then he started moving around 17th and 18th. And coming to the white flag of the race, Shane Gisbergen would be in the main pack, battling for the front and battling for the race win. He tried to make some moves, but with it being very difficult to pass, he would remain inside the top 15, top 20 area. And coming off the corner, he had a really exciting and really good finish across the line with 4 guys battling for the win, including Ryan Blaney, Daniel Suarez, Justin Haley, Cole Custer. Ryan Blaney got a really big run at the outside. Shane was in that outside groove trying to hang on at that point and was able to get himself a top 20 finish. Ryan Blaney would then come off the corner, of course, and pick up a really excellent win, picking up a second win of 2025. And Shane Gisbergen would come off the corner and pick up a second straight oval top 20 finish and finish 16th at Daytona International Speedway in the Red Bull Chevrolet. What a good night for Shane Gisbergen. Yes, I know it wasn't as flashy of a night as he had like at Richmond, for example, but the run inside the top 20 quite a bit of this race, and get another top 20 is really impressive, because we all talk about the points, and we'll talk about the playoffs here in just a little bit for Shane, but Shane Gisbergen needs to be starting to run a little bit closer to the front. In the last couple races in particular, you go back to Iowa a few weeks back as well before Watkins Glen, he's had 3 straight top 20 finishes. He had a really, of course, one Watkins Glen, and for Shane, this is a really solid and really good night for him to score himself another top 20 finish. A pretty good night for the driver of the number 88 car. A couple big things to note as well. Of course, pending cross-race inspection, Shane Gisbergen will be your 2025 NASCAR Cup Series Rookie of the Year winner. The reason for that is because he and Riley Herbst were the only 2 guys that were competing for the Rookie of the Year honors. And with Shane Gisbergen having 4 wins and him making the playoffs this year, he will be able to lock his way in the playoffs officially, and he will win the Rookie of the Year honors for Cup. So congratulations to Shane Gisbergen on winning that honor. But the other big thing now, let's talk about the playoffs for SVG. He will be going in these playoffs, I believe, as a number 16. He'll be up by 16 points going into the first race at Darlington. The first 3 races of the round of 16, you've got Darlington, then you've got Gateway, and then you have Bristol. For Shane, the goal is to run as well as he can. If he can run around the top 10, top 15 area, I think he's got a good chance to get it done. The big issue is, and many have brought this up, is that it is a lot closer than I think a lot of people realize going into the round of 16. So I think it's going to be tougher for him to make it past the first round. But if, let's say, he can finish inside the top 10, for instance, in the Southern 500, which I think is certainly possible. Some are saying he may not be able to run extremely well. I think he's actually going to surprise a lot of people and make a really deep run through these playoffs, potentially at least through the first round. Gateway, you never know. They're racing like a road course from time to time, so I could see Shane Gisbergen having a really good run there. I think the biggest worry I have, though, was Bristol, because he ran really bad at Bristol. That was the worst run he really had on an oval so far this year. Just struggled that whole entire race. And granted, I think he's going to run a lot better this time around, because I think Trackhouse is going to put the effort to try to give him the best equipment. But I think the biggest worry is Bristol. But if he can come out of the first 2 races with a bigger gap than he has, I think you're also going to have some drivers like are going to have trouble. I mean, Kyle Larson and the Hendrick cars have not ran very, very well at Gateway, for example. So that's a little bit of worry for like Alex Bowman, for example. But I think for SVG, ultimately the goal is to get out of the first round. If he gets out of round number 1, I think round number 2 is a cakewalk by 1 race. And that, of course, is being the Charlotte Roval, because he's been so good at the road courses so far this year. I think that is going to be the big thing that helps him. If he struggles though at the first 2 races, I think it'll be around a 16 elimination. But I think there's a good chance also that he'll get through the first round as well and make it up there. So we'll see what happens for Shane. But a solid night nonetheless for him. His teammate Daniel Suarez had a really good run, 3 straight top 10 finishes and back another second place finish pending post-race inspection. Great run for him tonight as well. And Ross had some good speed, so Trackhouse starting to have some good runs. They made some big hirings recently. Todd Meredith has taken over as the competition director, and it seems like this team's headed in the right direction. A really, really big move nonetheless, and pretty good to see that Shane had a solid top 20 finish tonight in the Cup Series race at Daytona. So, that is going to be today's video on Shane Gisbergen scoring a top 20 finish at Daytona. I want to thank you guys for watching. Please subscribe to the channel, notifications on, so if I win a video, it does go live on my channel. Follow me to Facebook and Instagram, and support me on Patreon as well. Let's get below that and comment your thoughts below on today's video. How would you rate SVG's performance from today's race at Daytona? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. We're going to have silly season predictions for the O'Reilly Auto Parts Series dropping here in just a couple hours from now. For those of you who are watching it early in the morning, we also will be having having other content dropping as well. We will have the news video dropping on Monday. We're going to have a lot of content coming out, and people talk about the Colligan announcement, the Connor Zilch announcement from today as well. We got a lot of content coming up. People like Haley Deegan, SVG, Carl Edwards, Kurt Busch, Kyle Busch, Bo Wallace, Ross Chastain, Sheldon Creed, Sam Mayer, Kyle Larson, Chase Elliott, Ryan Preece, Brad Keselowski, Cletus Varn, Dodge Ram, Will Brown, Cam Waters, Brock Feeney, Jack Perkins, all the good stuff. 2011 front row. We'll talk about it on the channel in the coming days and the coming weeks as well. A solid night for Shane Van Gisbergen. So anyways, like I said, I want to thank you guys for watching today's episode, and I'll see you guys next time for more great, awesome NASCAR content, other motorsports content on the channel like this. Take care, everybody.